If you tried to explain Zombie Army 4 to someone who didn't play games, they'd probably think you were drunk. I mean, who could blame them when this is a game that features shark zombies as an enemy type? Now, don't get me wrong, this series has always been a little bit bonkers, but as I found out when I went hands-on with the game in 4-player co-op at a recent press event, zombie sharks aren't the only weird and wonderful new additions to the series. In fact, going by all the footage I brought back with me, it seems like the development team at Rebellion has done everything in their power to turn this already bonkers series up to 11 for the latest instalment. So, in a bid to cram as many awkward Zs into a title as possible, here are 7 zealously zany ZITUATIONS in Zombie Army 4. Super! The first port of call for our hands-on was a story mission called Meat Locker, which is set on the Mediterranean island of Sardinia. That's not an especially zany location in the real world. In fact, it's a highly reviewed holiday destination on TripAdvisor. But in Zombie Army 4, well, it's home to a hellish zombie-infested research base, and it took us around 90 minutes to fight our way through it from beginning to end. But this wasn't just one long corridor of killing, oh no. Meat Locker consisted of many unique and often quite imaginative locations, although there wasn't much time for sightseeing, what with all the bullets and teeth being thrown at us from all directions. Honestly, they could have mentioned that on TripAdvisor. I'd have probably gone somewhere else if they did. The first location on our quest to find a missing doctor named Schweiger was a spooky forest that was full of exploding zombies and spooky shacks, which gave it a kind of Evil Dead vibe. After pushing our way through the twisted trees of the woods, we finally reached this compound, which was guarded by a zombie on a mounted machine gun. Taking him down allowed me to jump onto the turret and then mow down the horde that was chasing us from the rear. And once we'd wiped all of them out, this opened up a safe house where we could regroup and rearm before we moved on to our next location, a mechanical mausoleum which was full to the brim with the shells of old vehicles, angry zombies, and another surprise which I'll mention in my next point. After an incredibly long and rather panicky fight amongst the wrecked vehicles of the scrapyard, we then entered an old bunker and were immediately ambushed by a massive amount of armoured zombie giants. Although it was nothing that a fistful of electricity and a few well-placed headshots couldn't handle. From there, we entered a bunker and battled new flamethrower zombies, new elite gunner zombies, and another brand new threat that I'll talk about later. And all of this was happening while we were trying to build and defend a special zombie-killing missile core.
Second core infusion complete. Amos, it's ready.
Aha, excellent work. Now, all that's left is to take our warhead and attach it to the missile.
The fourth chapter and the final confrontation of the level took place at the base of a missile launch pad, which we had to arm and then defend for what seemed like an eternity, as zombies pummeled us from all sides. We stood our ground though, and in the end we launched that missile and wiped out the approaching zombie horde. great success.
Armor giants down!
If you've been paying any attention to Zombie Army 4 Dead War at all, you'll already know that there are zombie tanks in the game. If you haven't been paying attention, then what I've just told you will probably convince you that I've finally lost the plot. So here's some proof in the form of a handy Zombie Army 4 cutscene. See? I told you I wasn't making it up. Now, during my hands-on, I fought against two different types of undead armoured vehicles, and each one was just as grotesque and challenging to take down as the last. The first one, a zombie half-track, was held together by weird, sinewy bits of zombie flesh, and every so often it spewed out zombies from its ribcage-like interior. The second one, which was even tougher to take down, belongs to Schweiger, who it turns out is the main antagonist of this level, and his lumbering beast of a tank came equipped with multiple machine guns and a huge turret that fired exploding skulls. Because, of course it did.
Stay calm, I've got you.
Each macabre machine needed to be weakened before we could deliver the killing blow, and to do that we first had to remove the armour from the vehicles in order to expose their fleshy innards. The best way to do that was to target weak points in the tank's armour, which glow red when you aim at them down sight. Now, this isn't exactly easy to do, as not only do the tanks take a huge amount of punishment before they buckle, but also, you'll need to be keeping an eye out for the roaming zombie hordes as well, because they're ever present and always up for a fight. But when you do finally finish off these freaky-deaky vehicles, they'll explode and then crumple in on themselves due to the shame of being defeated. Schweiger's tank posed an extra challenge though, because before we could even get near its armour, we first had to neutralise its machine guns by pulverising these pulsating sacks that were located on each of the machine's corners. This is best done from a distance with a sniper rifle, but again, it's hard to get a steady aim on them when zombies are trying to chew your chin off and your mates are calling for revives every 5 minutes. The optimal way to damage the armour on these vehicles, by the way, is to use explosives, which are normally found in and around the safe houses. The stupidest way to do it, or as I like to call it, the Ian method, is to stand right next to the tanks and wail on their weak points with a big old shotgun. Although, like you can see here, more often than not, this will put you right in the path of some big squishy tank tracks. Look, I said it was stupid, didn't I? It did work, though. There are plenty of undead douchebags in Zombie Army 4, but a few of them are brand new and never seen before. One of those types, which I got the displeasure to meet in the meat grinder level, were called creepers, and they're genuinely quite unsettling to fight. Now, these chumps ain't just scary because they scuttle around on all fours like someone's shaved Sadako from the Ring movies. Oh no, I mean that helps of course, but the fact is they make their first appearance when the power goes out in the underground bunker, and then proceed to hide in the darkness and pounce on you from all angles. Honestly, it's claustrophobic enough in there with the lights out anyway, but when you can hear them hissing from the shadows but can't quite work out where they are, well, that's when things get really poop your pants scary. Ugh, no wonder they're called creepers.
Oh, how awful. Who did this?
This next point is super zany, but in a nice way for once, because the level designers in Zombie Army 4 have done a stellar job in creating a world that's full of horror and humour in equal measure. Honestly, I just love all the attention to detail that's gone into the set dressing here, and it's clear that the art team have had tons of fun adding in countless touches that'll either creep you out or make you giggle. Here's just a quick look at some of my favourite bits of scenery that I spotted during my playthrough.
Don't give up! We'll get through this!
Being surrounded by zombies in video games nowadays is pretty much old hat, and so not really that zany. But thankfully, Zombie Army 4 brings with it some new and improved ways for you to beat off the undead, and they're all a little bit special. Right at the bottom of the screen, you'll notice 3 greyed out icons that slowly get filled up over time. The first one of them on the left, which in this example shows a fistful of lightning, is your special melee attack. This is charged up over time, and once it's full, you'll be able to launch a devastating melee attack. You can customize this in the character menus, and there are 4 to choose from, although the incendiary axe throw here won't unlock until you're at level 28. The next icon, the largest one in the middle, is to do with weapon proficiency. With each kill from a specific weapon, this meter fills up by 1 bar. Then, once it reaches maximum capacity, you can activate your weapon's special attack, which in the case of sniper rifles is 1 or 2 super-powered shots. The final icon on the right-hand side is for your takedown attack, and you'll need to kill 10 enemies in a row without missing a shot in order to fill this one up. Do that successfully though, and you'll be able to use it to take down some of the bigger baddies in one fell swoop, and you'll look incredibly cool while you do so.
Giants destroyed!
Every zombie game in existence needs to have a horde mode nowadays. I think that's a law or something, and Zombie Army 4 is of course no different, but as per usual with this series, that's as normal as things get. In Zombie Army 4's horde mode, the longer you survive, the bigger the map gets, meaning not only will you have more places to run to, but you'll have more places to be attacked from. When I tried the horde mode at the press event, we played one of the 4 available levels, called Villa della Morte, which started off in the cramped confines of the villa, but soon opened up and allowed us access to a stinking swampland behind it. One of the things I really liked about this map was the inventive traps dotted around, which you could shoot to activate, like this old airplane propeller here. One word of warning though, learn from my mistake and steer well clear of it, because while it may look pretty small, this thing has quite the reach. Ooh. Oh, and it's probably worth pointing out that if and when you do die in a normal, non-minced to pieces way, your corpse will reanimate itself and you can then spectate it as it shambles around and tries to eat your mates. But the real lesson here is don't have me on your team, because if I'm not off blundering my way into traps and exploding myself into tiny little pieces, I'll be off adding extra numbers to the already overwhelming enemy forces. Sorry. And for the final zany situation, I bring you video proof that zombies do indeed have testicles. And if you aim your shot just right, you'll not only be able to see those testicles, but you'll also be able to pop them too. So, hold on a minute. Does the presence of testicles mean that zombies can bang? Hell, I mean, if Palpy can do it, I guess anyone can.
Help me! I'm going to die!
Testicles aren't the only things you can shoot off though. In Zombie Army 4 you can also dismember enemies with well-placed shots, so if you need to slow down an advancing horde, you can shoot off their legs, or even aim for their arms to relieve them of their weapons, if you're accurate enough. Me? I just tend to aim for the big red explodey barrels and hope for the best. And that's pretty much all there is to say about my hands-on time with Zombie Army 4 Dead War. Aside from all these wacky additions, it really is a case of if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So if you've played any of the games that came before it, you'll know what you're in for here. A Left 4 Dead style co-op adventure with plenty of silly moments to make you giggle, lots of nail-biting battles, and more slow-mo X-ray kills than you can shake a zombified stick at. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please do give it a like, subscribe for more from Eurogamer before the zombie hordes rise up and eat our faces off, and if you're feeling up to it, perhaps click on one of these videos that are on screen for your perusal right now. And with that said, it's goodbye from me, and good luck in the coming Dead War.
Yeah.